everybody in New Zealand. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2353. And our question for today is, can AI help with creativity or just efficiency? So we're going to look at that. But first, we've got the updates. What's the updates for today? It's been a busy morning. Well, actually, no, it wasn't quite a busy morning. We had a system outage. Yes, where I work for the company I work for in the mornings. But first of all, I had to get up at 4 o'clock this morning to be online by 5 o'clock to do the Q&A. Then we had the AI Open Office with Terza, and that is just such an amazing hour of learning about AI. If you want to come along to that, just private message us. We will send you the link, and you can come. There is no charge. It is free. Just come with your AI questions, and we actually have a really good time in there. And again, today we talked about AI agents and what they can accomplish for you. And this is a platform that's set up to, I didn't put my corner out, set up to with AI agents that can sort your email and answer your phones and do social media posts for you and everything else. But you can say that you don't want it to send any, you only want it to draft, you don't want it to send anything. You want the social media posts created but not sent. That way you can go in, like we've been talking about this week, is that you can then go in and verify the information that they're sending out, that they're going to be sending out, and also check it for any errors and make any corrections that you need to make before you tell it to go publish. So that's a really cool safety net that's in there for that. Then after that, I had a busy morning. I created some new cards today for just to send out as just because cards. What else did I do today? Created a new Facebook cover picture, so you'll see that on my Facebook profile if you want to go and have a look at it. And then when I got to get onto the chat, our chat system was out. It was down for almost an hour after I got on. It actually started before I got on, so it's probably down for about an hour. But we couldn't get any chats coming in. Nobody could send us any chats. It was quite interesting to say the least. Trying to get this thing up and running and trying to connect. And of course, we couldn't even contact those in charge of the platform because they only work on chat, and their chat was all tied to the website. We had to log into the website. We couldn't log into the website, so we had no way to contact them. And they did have a thing that came up that says, click here, and you could see and the outage was only in the States. It wasn't in Europe, and it wasn't in Australia. And I suddenly had this thought, maybe I could log in through the Australia platform, but that didn't work. But anyway, that eventually came back up, and things got a little busier as people were able to start chatting in and that sort of stuff as well. And then this afternoon, I got to, after I finished working, I got to make a bacon and egg sandwich with real bacon. And we're talking it's called middle bacon. I've now learned that that the names have changed over the years, but you get the stripe bacon, which is what you get in the States with the rashers. And then in New Zealand, you get the middle bacon, which is the rasher attached to a whole piece of meat. And so I broke in my iron skillet today and cooked up a couple of pieces of bacon. And of course, they're bigger than a side of bread. They're about this big. Yeah, about that big. And scrambled some eggs to go with it and made myself a bacon and egg sandwich. It was so good. It was so good. So that was a lot of fun. And here we are. Today we're going to be talking, and I have still been working with AI this afternoon as well, getting the cards finalized and things like that. So if you get birthday cards from me and you haven't received your one for this year yet, because it may not be your birthday yet, that's okay. You'll be getting a new one, a different one from last year. So AI, can AI help with creativity or just efficiency? Efficiency and creativity are not opposites. They are not opposites. AI removes friction from the creative process. And today we get to talk about one of my favorite things, which is brainstorming sessions with AI. Does it help with creativity or just efficiency? It helps with both. And here's why. AI removes the friction from the creative process. Normally, when you get down with other people, there's a lot of backwards and forwards going on. In some brainstorming sessions I have been in with people, arguments start coming out because somebody comes up with the initial idea. Somebody thinks it's a great idea, but they have their idea of where it should go, which is different to what other people are thinking, and they want to be the one in charge of it. So they can do it their way and that sort of thing. that friction is gone when you're brainstorming with AI. There are some brainstorming sessions I've been to that have been really good and worked out with collaborations and JVs coming out of it, JVs being joint ventures, and all sorts of good things happening from it. But then you get those that are not quite that good. So it removes the friction from the creative process. It's just you and an AI tool. That's all it is. It helps you brainstorm and explore ideas. So you can sit and many of you have, if you've been following me for a while, you hear my story of when I had an idea. I used to go and flop down on the couch in the living room and the family room, and Brad would be sitting in his recliner, and sitting on the couch means I could sit and look at him. If I sat in my recliner, I'd have to sit like this because his recliner was next to mine. So I'd sit on the couch, so I had that view with him, and I would sit down and go, I've had an idea. Like, I wouldn't just walk in, I would bounce into the room, plop myself down on the couch and go, I've had an idea. And you could see the look on his face just go, oh crap. And you could see him cringing, wondering what's coming next. And then I would go into my explanation of my idea and all of that. Sometimes he would give me feedback, and sometimes he would just listen, depending on what I needed him to do. But when he passed, that disappeared from my life until last year when AI came in, and I discovered that I could have this plop down on the couch, type it into AI conversation. It doesn't replace Brad, but it is a new outlet for me to be able to get this crap out of my head and get it somewhere, because writing it down took too long because my brain would be firing so fast. But to be able to sit down with AI and just type it all out and everything out and say what my idea is. Sometimes I will just flick the microphone on and just go verbal diarrhea into ChatGPT and then shut up, and it transcribes everything, and then it comes back with its feedback. It will come back with its feedback, and it would always be, it's always positive. It's always like, that's such a great idea, Helen, da, 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 da. Then it gives me its suggestions. Now, when it starts giving me suggestions, as if we're exploring this idea or ideas, depending on how much is in my brain that I need to get out. And I will tell you this, talking to ChatGPT, and I use ChatGPT for my backwards and forwards a lot. I have used Perplexity. I have used Gemini. They work very well as well, but ChatGPT has been trained on me. I have trained it to be able to respond in a way that I would understand. The other two are great, and you got to find the one that works best for you. But when I have this brainstorming session with ChatGPT, they could last hours, and you get in the zone and you are completely unaware of how much time has passed. I spent 7 hours on Zoom on ChatGPT one night, completely missed dinner. It ended up being like 1 o'clock in the morning before I finally packed it up and went to bed. My brain was going so fast because I just had a coaching session with my business mentor, and he had given me some ideas, and I just had to dump those ideas. Think of it, if you've ever seen Harry Potter, and there's the movie where I don't remember when the first time is, but Dumbledore has this pensive bowl, and what he does with the pen is he takes his wand, he puts it to his head, and he pulls out the silver thread out of his head and mixes and puts into the pensive bowl and mixes it up. What it is that he's taking memories from his head, putting it into the pensive bowl that will keep hold of those memories for him, but it makes room in his brain for new ones to come in. So when I'm doing a brain dump into ChatGPT, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm taking that thread of an idea, putting it into the pensive bowl, letting it mix around in there for a bit, but it's allowing room for new stuff to come in. I'm decluttering my brain. And when I do these brainstorming sessions with ChatGPT, it very much helps me declutter, because a lot of times I've got these ideas whirling around in my head, and one of them just sort of like jumps up and says, "Here, pick me. Let's get this done." And so I put it into ChatGPT, and we start having this conversation backwards and forwards, and we explore different ideas, different ways, different techniques of stuff to do with whatever it is we're discussing at the time. When we're brainstorming, it could be, we take it from here is the idea all the way through to a business concept by the end that we're finished with at the end of it. Does the business always flourish or get off the ground? No, it's just getting the idea out of the head, but making sure that it's in a place where I can come back to it at any time, pick it up, carry on with it, whatever, or I can just go, that one's out of there. That's not going to happen, but it gives me a place. But here's what happens during the brainstorming sessions. So typically we go from the idea and we mix it around, we gel with it, and it goes very fast. And the cool part is that there is no repeat. There's no repeating of the stuff. There might be repeating from ChatGPT saying, okay, this is what we have so far. But the ideas keep coming. And a lot of times when I first started brainstorming with ChatGPT, my idea would start here, would start over here. And by the time I got tired and needed to go to bed a few hours later, we were somewhere way over there, and I had completely out of sync with the original idea that's still sitting here waiting, because we had some cool ideas. We had built it up a little bit, had gone from this to this. But meanwhile, I'm in some rabbit warren all the way over yonder with no idea how to get back to here. Yeah, it happens. It happens. And so this one time I sat down with ChatGPT and I was like, I have to stay focused. So we're going through, we're noodling around this business idea, and we get the point, let's create some names for this. What names do you think would work with this? What would be something that's catchy, that makes people curious, could cause them to engage with us, just asking these questions. And it starts listing these things. And so I start going down the list, and like whenever it gives me a list of ideas, I will go through the list, and it's usually about 5 to 10 ideas it comes up with at a time. And it may even break them up into different categories. And like, these are the most engaging ones. These are the ones that will spark the interest. This is the one that will do this. And so it breaks up. So I start at the top and I go down the list and go why I like it or don't like it. And then sometimes I get one and I look at it and go, and all of a sudden I get these pictures, these images in my head of a storyline. I kid you not. I get a picture in my head of the storyline or a particular scene from a story. And I'll say, okay, this title here, we can't use as a business idea. It's going to make a great YA and young adult adventure series, because that's what's going through my head at the moment. Can you please put that on the shelf for later? And so I would go down and I would do this. And, this one will make a really great cozy mystery series. And I will tell you this, we have a spin-off from that already that's already built, kind of thing. We just got to put the storylines into it. We've got the framework built for the book, but we have to go back and put the storylines in. Because that's sometimes the idea sticks with you and you go back and explore it later. And I said, can you put this on the shelf for later? Then when we finish the brainstorming session, I said, can you please print the list of all the ideas I told you to put on the shelf through this entire, go back through this thread and pull out all the ideas that I said to put on the shelf. I kind of had a rough note written down, but I wanted to see if it went, and here was all this list of different ideas of whether it was a YA adventure, a cozy mystery, it was a completely different business idea from a business idea that developed from these ideas that we were circulating that had absolutely nothing to do with the business we were working on, business concept we were working on. And then I had another one that was like a book title and things like that. And there was that list. So I copied and pasted it into a Word document. It's in my Dropbox, where I can in my Dropbox swipe file. So you get this going backwards and forwards with things. So for brainstorming, I have found AI to be very useful for that. It will go in whatever direction you want it to go in. So you are the one that has to stay focused on the idea you want to explore, or you could turn around, and this is where creativity comes from human experience. You're having this interaction with AI. It's throwing back these different titles, ideas, and things like that, and something will spark another set of creativity. And it's up to you whether you stay focused on what you're focused on, or does that one sound even more shiny? Is it a shiny object and you start following that one, or do you tell it to show it for later and you'll come back to it at some point? AI cannot feel curiosity and insight. That is on you. You are the one that's going to feel the curiosity and the insight when you see these titles come and go, ooh, and you suddenly, when you look at it, the wording, you got this imagery going through your head of, that will make a really good whatever. Or, we could do this with that instead of doing it in this segment we're talking about. So let's shelve that for later. And you take some notes as well. With less friction creates more space for creativity. And it is just amazing, because after these brainstorming sessions, I am fired up, but my brain and my body is exhausted. But I still have some sparks of energy going. And it's like, I could sit here and do this for another 5 hours. And it's sort of like, no, your brain needs some sleep. Um, yeah, it's that, the subconscious is going, we need sleep. Come on, we've enough of this for today. So yes, it can create less friction to create more, and which creates more space for your creativity to come through. And it matters because creativity thrives when energy is not wasted on repetitive tasks. A lot of times when you brainstorm, you're going over the same points over and over again and not getting anywhere. Chatting with AI, it helps you move forward. The repetitiveness comes in when you say, can you please summarize what we already have so we know where to go next? And ChatGPT is very good with Perplexity and Gemini. You get this as well. At the end of their blurb, their reply, they will put, "Do you want me to?" And they'll put several options there. And this is where you can be. It can get very dangerous, and you go off track down the rabbit warren. Stay on task. So some days I stay on task. Other days I'm sort of like, let's go down the rabbit warren and see what we end up with. And sometimes down the rabbit warren is the true nugget that you need to kick off this idea that you've started with. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. So your practical takeaway for today is use AI to clear the path, not to define the destination. All you want to do is just sit down and say, this is the idea I have had. This is where I see it going, and then enter the conversation with ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, or what's that one, Perplexity, whichever AI system that you use. I have my favorite is ChatGPT. Do I use the others? Yes, I've never used Grok though because, excuse me, that's tied to X, or what used to be Twitter. X, formerly known as Twitter. That's the only one I haven't tried, but I have tried Gemini and I have tried Perplexity, but I like ChatGPT. I still use the other ones for different things, and sometimes I will use them to compare notes. Like I will give them this exact same prompts and just see what it comes back with. And sometimes it's basically comes back with the same information, but sometimes it has a little nugget in there that one of the other ones doesn't have. So play with it, have fun with it, enjoy it. Don't just sit down and go, okay, Helen said I had to sit down and brainstorm. Sometimes I'll sit there and go, I need to get stuff out of my head, but it's too foggy in my head to see what's in there. Can you come up with some questions that will ask, that will come up with some questions come up with a list of questions to ask me about the idea so I can get it out of my head, so I can get the fog out of my head. Play with it, see what happens. There's interesting things come out of it. And it's a lot of fun. But if you want help using AI without losing originality, send us a private message and we'll be happy to sit down with you and work that out with you. And in closing, creativity starts with you. AI simply helps you move faster. And trust me, when you get brainstorming with ChatGPT or one of the chats, it will definitely go a lot faster because it'll suddenly go brrr, and there's all these ideas there. And you then read through them, pick out the bits that you like, and it becomes a buffet. You take what you want and you leave the rest. It's as simple as that. And you might find a little spark of an idea in there that takes you on a different path of creativity to where you thought you could be. Or you might want to stay on task with the questions that you have, the ideas that you have. You want to stay on task. So tell it to shelve it till later. Tell it why you're shelving it till later. And then when you ask for the list of all the ideas you shelved, it comes back that you shelved this idea because blah, 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 blah. And it gives you the reason that you gave the chat to do. So you will definitely have a faster brainstorming session. But sometimes when you are in that zone of brainstorming, you will lose track of time. So set a timer if you're on a tight time constraint or something. Set a timer, or if you've got a few free hours, just go have fun and don't worry about the time. So with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Oh, I might be a little late tomorrow. Going over to Mum and Dad's. We go to church in the morning, going back with Mum and Dad, staying the night at their place because then Mum and I are going shopping the next morning. So, yeah, that'll be fun.